Jay, that's strangely close to Daniel Jones from the Giants. Daniel, is that you? Beat the Chiefs. Show me. If the Broncos and Russell Wilson can show me that they can beat the Chiefs, then I will start believing.
The crowd up. And so are this defense, and Kansas City won't snap the ball again. The Denver Broncos have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs.
David Montgomery on the Lions, former Bear, gonna make this his revenge game for sure. David Montgomery gets the touchdown that ices the game. No! And there's a flag. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. There's flags. Snap, hold, kick.
Denver wins! Denver wins! Let's go!
They open. No!
What happened? Oh shit.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the only football podcast tonight. Kyle and I are talking Frank Ragnow retiring from the Lions, multiple Pro Bowl center. We're also talking about playoff teams that made the playoffs last year and who we think is not going to make it this year in the 2025 season. We're going to be talking about Saquon making the Madden cover. And of course, we're going to end it all off with the chives with Kyle. Oh, let's get it. America is football. Football is
America. And if you don't like it, you can kiss your candy ass for the moment in time. I don't give a damn. Oh my god.
No.
You loved it.
30 to 27.
Oh!
Chiefs win. Chiefs win 30 to 20. Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Only Football Podcast. My name's Kyle and that's Rick.
I'm Rick, let's go.
And I missed you guys.
Miss you guys.
Miss you, Kyle. I miss you too, man.
Stop. You're lying, dude.
Dude,
You're
whatever,
so
man.
Weird. You're so
All right.
weird.
Okay, I'm the weird one. How are you?
What are you wearing?
I gotta say, Richard Ramiro.
Richard.
That's pretty much where I think all football fans are right now. It's like we all miss football. We're less than 100 days from kickoff, which is, I gotta say, especially for us putting out all the content. Like when the season ends, it's like it's bittersweet. It's bitter because it's over, sweet because we get a little bit of break, but then come this 100-day mark, it's like, how long is the off season? Like, it is by far the longest off season of every sport, and it makes sense. I mean, they put their bodies through hell during those 6 months, but it really feels like football is only 4 months, and off season's like 9 months. But I think, or 8 months. Yes. But I think we're all right.
Hey, we don't do math here. We don't do
math. We don't do names. But we are all ready and excited for football to come back. And as we approach, we're going to be having a lot of stuff, predictions about awards, predictions about playoffs and players and like personal achievement. Playoffs. All the good stuff that come Groundhog Day, we'll look back and say, what were we thinking? But the truth is, this is the time of year where every team on paper looks pretty good. Even the teams that were bad last year, you could, gun to your head, you could make an argument that they're going to win 10 games now.
Titans are going to the Super Bowl.
Okay, calm down. Calm down. The Titans, calm down. They're speaking of the week 1 slate has already come out for sports betting. And you know how the spread works. The bigger the number, the more lopsided they see the game going. And the biggest spread week 1 is 7 points. That is the biggest. I think the second biggest was Philly over Dallas at 6.5. But do you know who 7 belongs to?
I want to say the Broncos.
The Denver Broncos are favored to beat the Titans week 1 by 7 points.
Let's go.
And I agree.
Kyle loves that. Kyle loved it. You know, when Kyle read that, he was like, he got like this smile on his face, the kind of smile that a 6th grader gets when they're crushed like some back and they're like, oh yeah.
I got it. It's been so long. It's been 10 years since we have like been usually for the last 10 years where Tennessee's at right now is like a team. That's where we've been for 10 years. So it's like this could go either way. This is the first time where you can look at that line 7 points and say we're in a different tier as that the Titans. And that is what's exciting. We have like separated ourselves from the floor of the NFL. And that's where we've been glued for the last decade. And hopefully the Bears are going to do the same thing coming out of this year. I've heard some interviews this week of your head coach, and I like the stuff that I'm hearing from him.
Same.
He seems like all the things that he's great at, he's going to lean into those, and he is aware of where he is weak, and that's a big strength. Most people, their biggest weakness is that they don't know their weaknesses. And he is a guy that knows his weaknesses, and he hired his staff specifically for those holes. And hopefully none of them include time management, because I still can't get over how Thanksgiving went. I'm sorry, but it's like,
God, yeah.
How does that happen? But I'm expecting a big jump. And we'll get into that, down the road, but we're going to start with before I bring the retirement up. Are you watching playoff basketball?
I do not watch it, but I keep up with it. I keep up with Halliburton, SGA killing it, Pascal Siakam, the OKC Thunder, and now the Indiana Pacers, the two probably smallest markets in the NBA making it to the finals. So I keep up with it. I just can't watch it. Yeah.
I'm like all in for the Pacers right now.
I do want OKC to win just because, like, I don't know.
Because I said I wanted.
Win. No, they just never won anything. Like the Pacers at least have had times where they were good. The OKC has been good, like maybe for a couple years back when they had Durant, Westbrook, and everybody there. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I feel like it's their time.
Well, I think with Indiana losing their owner, Jim Irsay.
Oh yeah.
Jim Irsay. I think it's just like the right time. And I gotta say, for the last 20 years, LeBron James has been my favorite player in the NBA. And it's Halliburton now. That moment that he went,
the what's his name? What's his name? Who did that?
Halliburton.
No, but he was
Reggie Miller.
Reggie Miller, when he was doing the Reggie Miller choke job. Yeah.
Dude, I saw that and I was, the meme, I'm going to come. I saw that and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I've just never, every year I watch playoff basketball, I've never seen anything like this year. It was like that game. There was so many like it where there was 2 minutes left and a team's down 18 and they won the game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is insane. I made like $400 because I just started waiting for the game to be like 20 points separation, and I would bet on the team that's losing, and they won like 3 in a row. And I'm like, all I'm doing is taking these crazy odds.
Yeah.
And then I ended up winning like $360. And then I'm just like showing Mary, she doesn't care.
She's like, wow, yeah.
I'm like, no, I make her watch the last 3 minutes. I'm like, if you see the last 3 minutes of this game, you will be a fan. You're going to get hooked. And she's like, is that good? I'm like, that's true. You can't really get like the emotional investment if you think that this isn't normal. She doesn't know that. Like,
yeah. And that's the thing with me too, is like, football is the only one where I get hyped for playoffs, regardless if the Bears are in it or not, which has been, a theme for the last 4 years. But like basketball, hockey, and baseball, I can't really get into it unless my teams are in it. But I know you love the NBA and basketball. So kind of, like I love the NFL and I could get into it with the playoff teams regardless. Like, I know that's how you can be. And I know some people are just like, what? Like, really? Like, your team's not even making it. But that's how I am with football. I just can't do it with any other sport for some reason.
I know what you mean. I just like, I don't know. I've always loved basketball. Like when I was real little, I used to have my basketball, and I know this is like technically a sin, but I would be outside with the ball and I would be like, God, if you're real and I make this shot, I'm going to be in the NBA. And I would shoot it, and if I made it, I would go, okay, God, if that was real and you're real and this is for real, I'm going to make this shot again. But if I missed it, I was like, okay, for real this time. Like, there was no way I was ever going to actually have closure, whether I made it or not.
That's so real though. Like, every kid was the same way. Like, if I make this basket, I'm going to be a fucking all-star NBA talent. I would even shoot left-handed because I'm like, oh my God, like, could you imagine a guy shooting with both hands and being efficient? Like, I would kill it. And that was me at like 13, 15, but it never happened.
I had like the Iverson headband, the wristband, the shorts, the jersey, the shoes. I remember some kid named Deuce beating me up in first grade because he stepped on the. What'd you say?
I was gonna say he beat you up for those sweatbands.
No, he stepped on the back of my shoes, and I was like, my Iverson. And I swear, for like the next 3 years, people would just randomly walk down the hall and go, my Iversons. It was like, I was like the joke of the school because I was so invested in those shoes that it just came out like that. I don't even know why I said it that way.
Well, those are like fresh shoes. You were so happy to have them. So the minute somebody fucks them up, you're like, no.
You know that feeling though.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh yeah. But all right. I just wanted to talk, shed a little love to basketball because it is the NBA Finals, I believe. When does Game 1 start? Tomorrow, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
I think it's tomorrow. I know Ginger's in Indiana, so I'm pulling for you in the city of Indiana, and I hope for Jim Irsay. It was the same thing when Kobe died and the Lakers won. I just think it's so cool when somebody that's meaningful, that represents that city, passes, and that city immediately wins a massive thing. It's just like, it's kind of cool. But whatever, Rick doesn't care. So
you froze there, and I was trying to keep up with the stream on my phone. That's why. I'm sorry.
No,
yeah,
I think
it was my fault.
I was saying it's cool when like somebody that's meaningful, means a lot to that city, and then right after they pass, they win a championship, like the Lakers and Kobe. I was like, it's really cool. And then I was making a joke, and I was like, Rick doesn't care about that though.
No, because and it's a good thing that you kind of brought this up, because I did want to talk about Jim Irsay, rest in peace to him, because nothing, and I never really kept up with any stories about him. You know, there were some things that I would hear, and I was like, oh, that's cool. But this guy, Jim Irsay, and maybe Ginger can back me up on this too, right? Like that guy, if you needed something, he would give you money out of his wallet. Whatever
Yes.
money he had, he'd give it to you. He's paid for funerals. He's paid for people's trips. He's paid for all sorts of things for people, charities, just random people on the street that are like, hey, Mr. Ursay, what's up? Right? Like that, this guy, from all accounts, everything I've ever heard, everything I've ever read, recently, of course, was nothing but good. Like like Irsay started off as a ball boy or a towel boy, whatever it was, and moved all the way up to owner of the Colts. So that is someone who knows the grind and was just like Mr. Money Pockets. Like, oh, this person lost a friend who was a, whatever, Colts fan, this fan, whatever. I'm going to pay for your funeral. And they're like, no,
Yeah.
no, we're good. And they're like, no, like I'm going to pay for it. Like this is the least I could do, but I want zero recognition. So RIP to Jim Irsay. He was from everything I've heard, he's been nothing but a great person. And yeah, he said some outlandish stuff, but he was a great person at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, look, I know for me at least, like if I were to pass away, like it just depends on who you interview. Like
That's true. That's true.
there's people out there that I know for sure would be like, he's like an amazing person. And I know for sure there's people out there that would be like, he choked me out in a bar, like,
I liked it though, which was weird.
It was my first bar fight with my brother, and he ended up buying that bar and owns it now.
There you go. There you go.
And kept the same pool table in there that I had him against in the chokehold. It's so cool. But like, that's just the way life is. Like when you're somebody like Jim Irsay, who I can relate to, because he had his years where I didn't necessarily struggle with substance abuse to the extent he did. But I know with that, I have family members that have died from use. All
been
of my
around it.
Good friends, yeah. So I know like throughout his life that he battled with that, and I just like, I have so much respect for people that battle that fight, that are billionaires, because that is a unique challenge that you're adding to that fight. A lot of times regular people, they hit rock bottom because they run out of money and then they have to start doing some stuff to get some stuff. And that's kind of like that rock bottom that makes you go, I need to make some change. But when you're a billionaire, and you really can fund those poor life choices, it's a lot harder to say, I need to turn my life around. And he was able to do that.
Accessible.
He went to rehab. He and he was an imperfect person just like all of us, but that was the one thing that stood out, is it seems like sometimes it's the imperfect people that tend to give the most. And he was, in that way, he was like the best person that I've heard of when it comes to like these celebrities. Like Pat McAfee was saying, he'll just like, there was like guys on Twitter that were like, he gave me $5,000 because I answered a question on X. Like I just answered a question and he paid for my college books or whatever. And it seems like those guys just kept coming out of the woodwork, like by the dozens. He and it's like on record that he's given hundreds of millions of dollars to building and developing the city of Indianapolis. So, I mean, when you give that way, like you live way past your death, which is cool for him. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe Ginger knows. I don't know if the Pacers did anything special for him. Like, did they have a moment of silence before the first home game? Because I know when he passed, they were playing game 2 in New York against the Knicks. And it was game 2. And then they came back to Indianapolis for game 3. And that was their first home game. since the passing, and I didn't get to catch it, the beginning of it, but I was curious.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume that they did, but the finals, game one, if it's in Indianapolis, I'm going to be tuning in just to see like if there's like special shirts or
Yeah.
just something like that, that ties in kind of the Colts into the city of Indianapolis, because
Mm-hmm.
outside of Peyton Manning and a couple years with Andrew Luck, like the Colts haven't had much. All they
Right.
have is football, and they have Notre Dame. Did you say that?
No, I didn't say Notre Dame, but yeah, no, they didn't have too much. And real quick, you're frozen on camera. I can still hear you fine, but just
Oh,
wanted to give you a heads
thank
up.
you.
Yeah. Uh, I don't know if the Pacers had done anything because I'm looking now, but what I do know is that Jim Irsay's final tweet was wishing the Pacers and our city, Indianapolis, obviously, like good luck throughout the playoffs in their Eastern Conference Finals matchup. So I'm assuming that kind of what you were saying, like I think they're going to do something. All right, you're back. I think they're eventually going to do something during one of the home games that the Pacers are going to have because they're guaranteed a home game. They're probably going to do something in terms of honoring Jim Irsay. Because again, he was an avid supporter of everything Indiana, everything Indianapolis, anything like that, sports teams, major markets, things like that. So
In the jerseys for the Colts, they're probably going to have like a
oh
decal.
yeah, oh, they'll definitely have a patch, if not like on the helmet, like a JI, or I don't know if he has a middle name, but they'll probably do like the acronym of his name.
Right.
So it'll be cool. It'll be cool.
Sometimes other teams, the classy organizations, they'll like do it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bears, they have always had a decal on their helmet. I've never known what that is. I think it's their original owner.
GSH, yeah, George Stanley Hallis. I believe it's Stanley Hallis. And that was the original like he was Hallis and a few other guys. I think the Packers, what's his name, Lombardi, were them two plus a handful of others were the ones who created the NFL, but the Bears have always had GSH on there for George Hallis. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think they're adding Virginia's the daughter who passed away this year too as well.
Okay. And the Bears, I didn't know that. Did that just come out that the Bears are doing?
They probably are going to do something like that. I don't know for sure for Virginia, but I know that, like I said, GSH is always there on the shoulder pads, or on the shoulder of the jerseys.
Yeah.
That thing's going to be there forever.
Yeah. I always wondered, like, because you've seen teams do it for a year, but the Bears, my whole life, they've had it.
Yeah. I don't even know when that started, to be honest, but like I don't know if they had it while he was the owner or after he passed or whatever decisions, whatever time, but I know that they've had it since I've been a fan.
And what's the last name to the? She's like 101 years old.
For Virginia,
the owner of the Bears right now.
Oh well, she passed away. McCaskey, yeah, she had passed away. Yeah,
she did recently, right?
Yeah, a few months ago. Yeah.
Would they change it to her? And then the next owner, like
I don't think so. I think they're going to keep Hallis just because, I mean, obviously, back in her day when you got married, you definitely took the husband's name. I feel like if it was now a thing, she would keep the Hallis name, but I don't know if they're going to put McCaskey on there. I definitely think for sure they're going to put a decal or something on the helmet.
So that was her husband?
Yeah, her husband who passed away early 2000s, I believe.
Okay. Yeah. So we really won't be having this conversation until whoever the next owner and by the way, is there anything on that front? Like who's going to be the new owner?
So the owner of the Bears right now is, oh my God, what's his name? McCaskey, also her son. I don't know if he's the oldest or the second oldest, but he's taken control over the team since 2011. If I'm not mistaken. So he's been like the guy, the owner, the guy making those types of decisions. Yeah, he's been the guy, but Virginia was always like the owner, the daughter of Hallis too.
That happened with us, Pat, because when Pat Bowlen died in 2015, he didn't even know when like the Super Bowl, when we won, he wasn't even on the field. He didn't even know he was the owner of the team. His dementia had got that bad, and his wife was there. But when Pat died, his kids were kind of fighting over the team, and it was a very long process. And Joe Ellis was the acting owner, but it had been that way for like a decade at that point. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because that's the way it was with us. And I remember when Sean was interviewing, Walmart had just Rob Walton.
Walmart.
They just bought the Broncos 1 year prior. And and Sean was saying, like, ownership not only matters, it's huge. A lot of people think like a GM and a head coach and a good quarterback will get you on the right path, which is true, but great ownership keeps you great. And I didn't realize how important that was until Sean broke it down. And I know that had Sean or Walmart not bought us the year before, Sean wouldn't have chosen the Broncos. That he said ownership, GM, and that is like the trifecta in head coach. And if one of them's out of line, it is crucial. And I know you guys got Caleb Williams, you got Ben Johnson. Hopefully this guy that's been acting for 10 years, based on the football that I've been seeing, I don't think like he's the guy. I feel like some fresh blood, like what happened to us, needs to happen to the Bears. They need to bring some new in there, some rich person that can just like do what Walmart did for us. Like, we're going to get Bermuda grass. We're going to, we're going to update the scoreboard, all of the stuff, bring in Condoleezza Rice, like all these new people got involved. And that's when I realized how important ownership was, because before that, I was like, ownership is what it is. I don't think about it much, but when I see him, I say, what's up, through the phone. But then Walmart took over and all of these improvements started happening. And I saw the morale of the players getting happier. And I saw this new facility they're building that will be open in 2027. That is like top of the line, everything, the new practice field facility. It matters. Like it matters more than people like to say. And I say all that to say, like, this guy that's been acting for 10 years, like, are you cool with that? Or would you like to see I don't know, maybe who's the guy that owned the Dallas Mavericks?
Fucking, oh my God. Mark Cuban. Yeah.
Like somebody like Mark Cuban to buy the Bears. Like, would you like to see some like fresh come in?
Yeah. Yes. But also, it's never going to happen, unfortunately. And real quick, just a quick shout out to Crooked Commish, Nick, Jinja, and we had Richard in here. So what's up, everybody?
Okay.
Chat. Hope you guys like.
Hope
you guys. Yeah, I know. Hope you guys like the chat here on the side. You guys get to see all your comments.
Let us know if you like it. It's our first time trying it.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that'd be cool for everybody to see their own comments. Unfortunately, the Bears ownership, and it goes, it really all started with George Halas, at the end of the day, like and then Virginia, and now George McCaskey, they are very, very calculated in terms of like this. The Bears are going to be under their ownership for a long, long, long time. They're probably like, I don't know how many more generations of McCaskies are going to go before they're like, you know what? I don't even watch football, because George McCaskey, he is a self-proclaimed non-football guy.
Really?
Yeah. And that sucks, because when you have an owner that is like a Jim Irsay, for example, right, who bleeds their team colors, you are trying to do everything in your power, or at least it seems that way, for your, to get your team a championship. And to me, it doesn't seem like that happened. I mean, you could go back to a couple of the shorts we've done after a bad loss, and maybe my now deleted X account, where I did like, George McCaskey, sell the team. I'm so tired of it. This team sucks. What are you doing? So there's a lot of frustration built up. They're never gonna. At least in my lifetime, I don't see the McCaskies ever giving up the Bears. Is it going to? I will be the owner. Absolutely, I will be, Nick. But will it happen? I can't say. In my lifetime, I don't believe it to be a thing that will happen. I just know that when we talk about ownership and when I see new ownership like the Broncos, like other teams that do everything they can in their power to get the best players, best coaches, whatever, I am just like, fuck, we need that so bad. But unfortunately, it's never going to happen. The Rick Thanksgiving game reaction was peak. No, it wasn't that one because I wasn't on the stream, Nick. I think you're talking about the Packers game early in the season that they lost.
What?
I think that's the one you're talking about because I was not streaming Thanksgiving. I had the in-laws over, but yeah, you're right.
I was watching that in real time, just screaming at my TV. Like my family was like, not usually they'll be like, chill out, but they could tell by my voice that something was actually happening.
That one,
and they just let it go. They were like, holy crap, he's about to lose his mind.
So this is something that I'm going to say today that I've kind of not necessarily planned out, but it kind of came to me at one point because what I'm going to do, because he cussed literally everyone out. Yeah, the Hail Mary, Nick. During Bears streams this season, I'm not going to swear during Bears games this season, during streams that I do about the Bears games. I'm not going to swear.
KC's going to love that.
Casey's going to love it. Just because I want to be like, you know what would be cool? I love seeing Grossi do things at the draft, calling out draft picks, and him having a platform, not only in his own YouTube channel, but being given a platform by the NFL themselves.
So you want to be a sellout. Got it.
I want to sell out so hard to where I'm calling a 4th, 5th, 6th round pick for the Bears in the future.
I know.
I don't think it'll happen if I just keep cussing everybody out.
Then I will have to keep cussing, and
you will,
because Perna still cusses, but notice he's not announcing any draft picks.
That's true. That's true.
They'll stream together, and then Perna will say some off the wall shit, and Grossi can't really be like, haha, that's funny. I agree. He just has to be like, oh my gosh.
I love this. Nick goes, Jinja, over under on how long Rick can keep that. Jinja said 3rd drive, Nick, week 1. You guys know me way too well. But yeah, I know
what you mean though. I know.
I'm going to try.
It's in that shit's kind of business in general is like, you never want to give anyone a reason to close the door. And
exactly,
if somebody, I have good friends that don't cuss. They don't necessarily like, if you cuss, they're going to shame you. They're just like, it's just not what they do. And when you don't do it for a long time, it just becomes normal. I'm not like I don't swear at work. That's like a big thing. Like I never swear at work. And the only time that I do swear, I guess, is I got worse with it. I kind of go through like phases. Whatever words you use them more the more you use them. And then when you stop, like the R word, once like somebody was like, hey, we shouldn't say this word anymore. I was like, yeah, I mean, that I get that. I can like get on board with that. It makes sense. And then I just stopped saying it. And then it got weird because then they were like, okay, we're not going to call people that anymore. We're going to call them mentally, I think it's mentally challenged. Instead of that word. And then I was like, so is that word back to being acceptable since that word's not derogatory anymore?
Yeah, exactly.
But then I was like, well, maybe just don't even ask. I was like, but it's so funny because like sometimes I'll see something and like for my whole life, that was the word that would describe how dumb something is. And it's kind of like, fuck. It's like, if I'm like, dude, I am so pissed, or I'm like, dude, I am so fucking pissed off. Like, there is
It
like,
just feels better.
there's a power in the word that no other word will be able to like match. It just can't.
Yeah. And
Um,
and
and I feel
Ginger's
like,
kind of right here. They're crowd specific for the most part.
yeah. And I feel like the whole point of language is to let people know how you feel.
Yeah.
And that is why we talk anyway. So
Mhm.
if I can relay better, and if you just use it all the time, then you're not really doing that, because
It
it's
almost
not.
becomes meaningless.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
period at the end of your sentence, or like saying, after, it just becomes a
You know?
filler.
You know?
But if used the right way, it is very important. And also, I always tell this to people that are Christians that are against cussing. Because I don't get it. I'm like, it's just syllables put together.
Mhm.
It's just like, who says that word is good or bad?
Mhm.
It's your heart. So if
Yeah.
I'm saying like, God, I'm so fucking hungry, what is the difference between saying that and like, man, I am so hungry? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. I'm not hurting anybody. But if
Very
I'm
little,
like,
yeah.
I fucking hate you, like, that's wrong, right? So it's not the word, it's what you're actually saying. But that's my issue sometimes with like that community, is they're
Mhm.
just so like, they're in this box, and they don't challenge the rules that they believe.
Mhm.
And I challenge everything, and I want to see like what's behind the reasoning of this. And
Mhm.
if it's good, then I'll go with it. But if it's not only will I not go with it, but I'll tell everybody how I feel, just like I am right now, so
Yeah.
that hopefully I'm bringing awareness to the stupidity of it.
Exactly. And Richard, like right here, he says, I enjoy watching games with you guys because it feels authentic. That's me during games too. Like that's how I am. Like before streaming, that's how I was. If I'm not streaming, that's how I'm gonna be. And I appreciate that, Richard, because yeah, like I don't want to not be authentic about the Bears very specifically, especially on this podcast, because if I'm mad, I'm going to be pissed because I ride or die with this team. And so I think everyone deserves like the reactions that I get. Ginger's like, man, you've had some epic meltdowns, this and that. So I get it. I want to clean it up just a little bit. And it's also kind of like a challenge to myself, at least for this year, to see if I can do it.
Rick's going to be a dad, and he wants to stop swearing around his kids.
Don't you wish that on me? Don't you wish that on me?
Well, let's pivot to football,
Let's
because
do it.
the Detroit Lions, they have released some big news in that their center, Frank Ragnow, who has been a staple on one of the strongest offensive lines in the NFL, is
Mm-hmm.
retiring, which comes out as a big surprise. He's only played 7 seasons,
Mm-hmm.
and he's played at such a high level.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, somebody, especially when you think durability, you think the offensive line.
Yeah.
When you think like especially a Pro Bowler offensive lineman, you think 15 years. That's what we're going to get out of this guy. And
Mm-hmm.
especially when you've got a very talented offensive lineman that's excelling and was a first round pick out of
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas. And he played in 16 games in 2018 when he was
Mm-hmm.
drafted. He was a second team All Pro selection last year. And he said last year that he felt as healthy as he had been in years. He battled a toe problem. He tore the plate in his left foot week 4 against your Bears. This is your fault, dude. This is your
Nice.
fault.
Nice.
He missed the rest of the year. That was 2021. He missed the
Mm-hmm.
rest of the year. Then in 2022, he re-injured his toe, and they called the alignment inoperable in spring of 2023. And then that fall, he made his 3rd Pro Bowl after playing 16 games, despite his toe and his knee and his ankle, all that stuff. he acknowledged after the season that he was contemplating his future. Then he returned with another Pro Bowl performance last year, and he played through a partially torn pectoral muscle. And he's 29. He had 2 years left on his contract. I'll say, when you sum up this guy, to me, it's very similar with the Andrew Luck retirement. The wear and tear on his body just became overwhelming, and he made a business decision for his body and his overall, holistic health, and decided that I've given this team everything I have, and if I thought I had more to give, then I would do it. But the reality is I don't. And that is an exact quote that he wrote on Instagram. And he said, I have to listen to my body. And this has been one of the hardest decisions of my life. So I believe that he came to this decision not lightly, with a ton of conviction. And I'm sure this was difficult for him. And it's especially difficult for a Lions team that has seen a lot of people walk, including their offensive coordinator, who arguably was the brains behind the whole operation. And this is just another piece that the Lions are going to be without next year. That was part of their core of talent. So we will wait and see how this affects the Lions. But this is shocking news for a Lions fan today.
Yeah, man, this is a tough one. You talked about all the accolades that Frank Ragnow has done in his 7 years, and Kyle was saying that it must have been a hard decision to make because, again, Ragnow is 29 years old, and Ragnow is the center. A couple years ago, last season, whatever it was, everyone always says the quarterback is the captain of the team because they always touch the ball every play. The center does as well, and the center does a lot for the quarterback, calling out protection, calling out blitzes, understanding assignments for everyone, understanding the plays, right? So they're just as important as anyone on that offense, right? Especially the center. And Ragnow being 29, again, hasn't even hit 30, is going to be a huge blow. And I'm sure, like you said, like this was a tough decision. I don't think this is something that again, he came to lightly and that he expected kind of coming into the NFL. And we also have to remember too, right? Like this isn't just 7 years in the NFL plus the 3 or whatever. So, years in college, high school football, pee-wee football, all of that combined into one gets you to 29 years old, and all those injuries that piled up for Ragnow, unfortunately. And, he made the decision. I got to listen to my body. I want to hang out with my family. I'm retiring, but man, it was an absolute honor going to battle for y'all, is what he said. Right. So, this is a big blow to the Detroit Lions again. They've lost their offensive coordinator, their defensive coordinator, a handful of assistants, and other coordinators. They have lost players to injury. We saw what happened to their defense basically getting decimated all throughout the season and into even the postseason, which unfortunately was an early exit for them, right? This past postseason. So I kind of wanted to ask you, Kyle, because with all the losses, right, and we've seen the Eagles and for the most part, the Eagles kind of be able to sustain their team throughout losing a ton of coordinators. You mentioned it in the past, but now they lose their center. They've lost their defensive and offensive coordinators. Are the Detroit Lions in trouble going into this year, starting off week one with all the losses that they've endured? Are they going to, do you think it's going to be a down year for the Lions, or is it kind of one of those like, hey, next man up mentality that goes for coaches and players, because we do have a rookie that's more than likely going to step in for Ragnow? What do you think is going to happen to the Lions?
I think that the Lions are in trouble. I think at the end of the day, Dan Campbell is the heart of the team. Like I said, Ben Johnson was the brains of the operation. Nobody thought that those plays that were being dialed up was Dan. Everybody knew that that was Ben, and that's
Yeah.
why Ben was the hottest head coach in the last 2 years. Potential. He didn't choose to, be a head coach last year, but had he been, he would have been the number one option.
100%. Yeah.
That's who he was. Now, with Dan Campbell being the heart of the team, that is kind of the lifesaver with the Lions right now, because the Lions are losing a lot of pieces, but they're not losing their identity. And that is the one thing a team can't lose. They are still going to be a tough physical team, and Dan Campbell is going to have them playing with, all of the emotion and strength, and he's definitely going to get the most out of his players. I think we've learned that about Dan.
Yeah.
He is going to have his team fighting. I mean, the year that the Lions beat the Packers week 17, Aaron Rodgers' last game as a Packer, the Lions started like 0-5. And I've said it like 100 times on this podcast, but that year for the Lions is just miraculous, because they got Justin Tucker kicks like a 65-yard field goal to win the game. Right, breaks a record. The only reason they were in field goal range is because Lamar converted a 4th and 28 or something. The amount of bad things that happened for the Lions to lose week in and week out was unmatched. I've never seen anything like it. It was like what happened in the Baltimore game happened week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. And then finally Justin Tucker nails the 65-yard field goal, and Dan Campbell goes to the podium in tears. And he is crying, and everybody can feel it. And he's like, I just know how hard that these guys are trying, and they deserve to win. And damn it, like, it's not fair almost, right? And that it's so easy for a team in that position to just be like, let's just like go out, let's go to the club, let's lose focus, let's not lock in. We're getting paid millions. Like, let's look at the bright side. But no, they turned it around that season, ended up going like 8-2 in their last 10, knocking the Packers out of the playoffs, and they haven't looked back since. And that is the brand new Lions. And that was Dan Campbell coming in. And since that year, he's only been able to add to it. Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, another
Aiden
Hutchinson. They've only been able to add. And when you continue to add, they just keep getting better and better. They were back-to-back NFC North champions. They should have gone to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They were up against the 49ers in the NFC Championship game by 17 points at halftime. They played their worst third quarter of that whole year in the most important third quarter of their season. And now they're, for the first time, starting to lose those pieces. Not all of them, but they are losing a piece here, losing a piece there. They still have their identity. They still have Jared Goff, who is a top 10 quarterback. They have Jahmyr Gibbs, who is arguably the second best running back in the NFL. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's arguably a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. They have Sam Laporta, arguably the best tight end in the NFL. So let's not like freak out like the Lions are headed towards a 6-win season. That's not what it is. It's just that the way the Lions have been dominating the last 2 years, specifically in the NFC North, that is no longer the case. They are not going to walk over the NFC North. I actually don't think they win the NFC North. I think that there could be 3 teams represented in the playoffs from this division. I would, if I had to bet today, I think the Packers are more likely to win this division than the Lions are today. And it's all it comes down to is continuity. We saw the same exact thing happen 2 years ago when the Philadelphia Eagles went all the way to the Super Bowl, toe-to-toe with Mahomes, blow for blow, 38-35, a pass interference call, and the Chiefs win the game. The offseason kicks off. The Eagles lose the offensive coordinator, lose the defensive coordinator, just like the Lions lost the OC, lost the DC. The next year, the Eagles struggled all season, still made it to the playoffs, but then got blown out by Tampa Bay in the wild card round. And everybody forgot the Eagles were good. Then they get that spark back in year 2. This is a speed bump. This is not a total deviation from where the Lions are headed. I expect the Lions to be, I will say the exact same record as the Philadelphia Eagles 2 years ago, and the Lions likewise will lose in the wild card round.
Yeah, I agree with most of what you said too, because this is a huge blow. We've already seen their coordinators go. And regardless of what team you are, right? Like, it could be the Chiefs, it could be the Patriots during their dynasty years, right? Like, it could be anyone, the Eagles now. It's huge to lose people who have made your team successful. And Frank Ragnow is one of them. Now, I agree too that I don't know if they're going to win the same amount of games as they did last year. I don't know if they are going to be as dominant on the offensive side of the ball as they were last year. Same goes for the defense, right? Like, regardless of who they're bringing back, I think they're going to be at least 2 to 3 games worse than they were last year. Now, can they still win the division? I think they still can. I can sort of agree with the Packers there, but the Vikings are going to be going in with JJ McCarthy, right? We don't know exactly what JJ McCarthy has, at least in the regular season. There's been some things during the preseason before he got hurt, which were promising. But on the flip side of that, you've still got the same DC. You've still got the same head coach who worked with Sam Darnold and made Sam Darnold a paid quarterback this offseason, who is now in the Seahawks, got money because of how well he played with O'Connell. So there's things there. The Bears obviously have added a much more competent staff headed by Ben Johnson. Caleb Williams going to year 2 with a much better staff and a much more clear approach into how they want him to run the offense. And the Packers, they've made a lot of great additions, right? We talked about the wide receiver from Texas that they drafted in the first round for Jordan Love to really finally, I guess in a sense, have a number 1 wide receiver, even though Romeo Doubs, Watson, everyone is probably still going to be trying to vie for that spot. I think the Detroit Lions are still in that mix in terms of division winners, but it is going to be a much tougher road this season coming up than it was last year, because again, of all the subtractions that they've had all over their team. And now you get one of the best centers in the game that retires. So it's a big blow. I'm sure Detroit Lions fans are still like, what more could go wrong, right? First round exit in the playoffs. You lose your 2 coordinators. Again, the assistants go, and now your all pro center retires because of injuries and family. Again, you've still got Dan Campbell. You still got a lot of your offensive weapons as well as on the defense. You still got rookies who are going into year 2 that are killing it, that killed it during the rookie seasons. And there's a lot of hope, but I also think that there's definitely a lot of doom and gloom going on with the Detroit Lions fans that are just like, what more could go wrong for us?
Yeah, and if you are a Lions fan and you're watching this, I don't want you to get too discouraged, because one of my favorite writers for the NFL.com, he's the lead draft writer, Eric Oldham. He put out an article today, 10:49 a.m. I saw it during my lunch break, and it was the top 10 most complete NFL teams for the 2025 season. And the first team on the list, number 1, the Philadelphia Eagles. Not really a shocker there. Number 2 is the Ravens. They didn't lose much at all. Now they're switching kickers from Justin Tucker to Tyler Loop, but with Lamar Jackson at his peak, Baltimore, very few holes. Number 3 was the Lions.
Yeah.
So I will read the Lions portion here. One of the Lions' biggest offseason challenges is implementing 2 new coordinators after Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn earned head coaching jobs. Helping the matter, the talent in Detroit remains very strong, which is what we're saying. This helps the Lions' case. Brad Holmes has built one of the best rosters in the league. Jared Goff followed up by maybe his finest regular season. And I want to pause here really quick and say, I posted something today about the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL that I believe are the top 10. And I have Jared Goff in my top 10.
Ooh, okay.
And I do think Jared Goff is one of those quarterbacks. I think it's because he is the very last stationary quarterback. Like, you don't see Jared Goff run, right?
No, very rarely.
Very,
Very rarely.
I don't even think he's running when he's being chased. Like, he just
Yeah.
gives up. Like, there's that quote
I'm
from
good.
Denzel Washington and Remember the Titans. Like, I don't run unless I'm being chased. I don't dance unless I hear music, and I will not be intimidated.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like Jared Goff doesn't even run when he's being chased. So, like,
Yeah. I
but
agree.
he's so damn good. Like,
Mhm.
dude, he lit it up in the playoff game against Stafford. Like, he's awesome. Like, I
Mhm.
just feel like he doesn't get enough love. I don't know. What do you feel like he's a top
It's
10
for me, it's kind of recency bias. You know what happened during the playoffs, right? Like it was
recency?
rough. It was a
Like,
rough look. Same with Sam Darnold and all that stuff. It was just a bad look for the
oh,
NFC
okay.
North.
You're saying recency in the bad way.
Yeah, exactly. Recency bias in the bad way, in like the negative light, right? Like, what did you do in the playoffs, right? Like, how bad was that? You were the number one seed and you get, beaten by a Commanders team. So
Oh,
yeah.
well, I mean, everyone got hurt in that. I swear, when it
Yeah.
comes to fans, the one thing that bothers me the most is that they have no grace when it comes to injuries, as if like your starting players aren't important. I mean, it is the
Yeah.
same thing with Jordan Love. Like, he lost 13 players in that game. Like,
Hmm.
they lost Dobbs, Watson.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't. The guys catching the ball were like, "Who is that guy? Like, what is he even a receiver?" I mean, it's like, but when you fast forward 90 days, all of a sudden people are just talking about Jordan Love. Like, I don't know what he is. He had that good year, but then I don't know. Last year wasn't too impressive in the playoffs. It's like, we're not even going to talk about the situation he was in. And like
Yeah.
the same thing with Goff. Everybody was getting hurt in the playoffs. So like, I'm just not going to pin that on Goff. And then when you're down because their defense lost the game. Really, it was the Lions defense, I think, let the Commanders score on every possession of the
Yeah.
game.
Damn near. The only
So
one that they stopped was when Mariota came in and did that terrible fourth down run or
oh,
that fake whatever. That was
yeah.
the only time they stopped them, it seemed like.
And it's like when your defense plays like that, it forces your offense to, they're totally unbalanced because they're
Yeah.
one dimensional and then predictable, and it's just like that is not the way to judge this quarterback. And I agree with you. Like, there's a lot of because I was getting like LOL Jared Goff, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, this is a guy that's not even 30, and maybe he's
Hmm.
turning 30 now,
I
but
think so, yeah.
he's been to a Super Bowl. He was good with the Rams. Like, we've seen him play really at a high level with two teams now.
Hmm.
I don't know. I feel like it would be harder to make the argument Jared Goff's not a top 10. I know 2 years ago people were saying he's top 12. I feel like he's earned top 10. But would you agree?
Top 10.
My list was
Okay. Yeah, let's go through that.
my list was Mahomes,
Hmm.
and then I had Joe Burrow,
Yep.
Josh Allen, Lamar
Yep.
Jackson.
Yep.
Um, then at
5.
5 I had Jalen Hurts.
Okay. Yep.
Um, 6 was I don't remember the order, so I'm just gonna give you 5 more.
Yeah.
But it was Jaden Daniels,
Hmm.
um, Jared Goff, um, Jordan Love, Matthew Stafford,
What about Chargers? Herbert?
and Justin Herbert. Those
Yeah,
were, but I put
I
Bo Nix. I took out Jordan Love and put in Bo Nix.
of course you did.
I think Bo Nix
Um,
right now is a top 12 to 14, but I think he's going to, by the end of this season, I think he's going to be a bona fide top 7.
I like Nick's comment here. Top 3 quarterbacks: Bo Nix, and Bo Nix. So
He's going to be
here's
special.
what's that?
He's going to be really special.
I hope so I hope so for the Broncos. I'm going to disagree with Love.
I took him out.
Okay, then I'll disagree with Nix for sure. I think Baker.
Oh, Baker. Okay,
Baker's
Baker over Bo Nix for sure. Bo Nix is more of a top 12. I think he's the 12th. I don't even say top 12. He's like,
I don't know,
I think
Sam Darnold.
I would take Bo Nix over Sam Darnold.
I don't know. I would take Sam Darnold over Bo Nix right now. Right now.
Okay. What
this is still like, and I'm still looking at the recency bias in terms of what did Sam Darnold do the last 2 weeks of the season, including the playoffs. That was shit football from him, sure. Right. But yeah.
And like he came into the season and played bad football for, 5 years. Mm-hmm. Bo came in as a rookie with $250 million in dead cap money with a team that was projected to be the number 1 overall pick, 5.5 win total, and took them to double-digit wins, won these crazy games, did more with less, threw for over 3,500 yards, had 28 like his numbers he put up he broke Manning's record for touchdown pass. I mean, he did so much last season as a rookie, and he wasn't even like one of the top rookies. He was the last pick of the crop, apparently. And now we're going into year 2. And I think like he's already saying in camp, like, I'm so far ahead. He's like, I feel like I can actually be a leader now because I'm not the one learning.
Which is good. It's something that you want to hear from your quarterback too, especially going into year 2. Now, what I will say is
the sophomore slump.
No. I don't think there's going to be like Bo Nix passes for 2,500 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 25 interceptions. Not like that. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy like that. But I was going to go with more other quarterbacks that I would go over Bo Nix. Trevor Lawrence, I would go over Bo Nix right now.
What? How?
Dak Prescott, I would go over Bo Nix right now.
I can get with the Dak, but Trevor Lawrence, why?
Just in terms of what
Trevor Lawrence has put out so many mediocre seasons. Bo
absolutely, but Bo's only had 1 season. You know what I mean? And this isn't to say that, again, I don't want to make this, I'm a hater of Bo Nix because
you hate him.
He was the second best rookie quarterback last year behind Jane Daniels. And that's purely off stats and facts. Like, he got his team, which was the Denver Broncos were predicted to be the worst team in the league. They were predicted to have the number 1, the number 2, the number 3 overall pick in this past draft. And where did they draft Kyle? In the 20s, because Bo Nix got them to the playoffs. So I think it's not that I hate Bo Nix or anything. It's just he's had 1 really good year. CJ Stroud, would you take CJ Stroud over right now? Over Bo Nix?
I wouldn't, only because CJ Stroud doesn't run. I feel like Bo Nix, he runs the football much more than people realize.
And here's the thing, like last year, you probably would have CJ Stroud
over Bo Nix.
Top 10. In the top 10. Before last season,
yes.
A lot of people were riding high on CJ Stroud. He had a bit of a slump.
CJ's come down for me.
He does, yeah. And I'm sure he has for a ton of people, even for me too, right? Like, but this isn't to say that I hate Bo Nix or anything. I just don't know if I would take him over Trevor Lawrence right now, over Dak Prescott.
I would for sure over Lawrence. Just because
and even
Trevor Lawrence has had so many what the fuck moments on the field where he throws 100%. Like a bad pick. And it's just like, what are you doing? Like, I haven't seen Bo like put together a game like that. And he's been in like these high pressure games where he's made these just, he makes amazing throws, but he doesn't turn the ball over. And that's like his bottom line. Like he didn't have 1 fumble. He didn't throw interceptions. And when he did, it was like, Sean was pissed off at the receiver most of the time for not running the right route. And you can always tell like when it's one of those picks where the ball's over here and the receiver's over here.
Yeah.
I mean, there was like some of those, but like I'm telling you, he took really good care of the ball, and like Trevor Lawrence does
100%.
not take care of the football.
He
Like
does not. He does not.
just
He's got the most turnovers from any quarterback since he was drafted in the league. And again, I am a certified Trevor Lawrence doubter.
hater.
Not hater, but doubter. Now, I don't think like I feel like you like Trevor Lawrence way more than I do, and again, you're still taking Bo Nix over him. I totally get that. Right now, if you ask me, because I'm a biased Bears fan, I'm taking Caleb over Trevor Lawrence. Right? Like Caleb got sacked 68 times or whatever the fucking number was last season.
Well, we don't know yet, like what Caleb is
exactly, and
so
that's kind of the
crazy to take him over Trevor Lawrence.
And that's kind of the same thing I'm applying to Bo Nix, although not necessarily like I don't think this is a hot take. I think as a Broncos fan, you're taking it as a hot take, obviously, right? But I don't think this is a hot take to be like, yeah, I'll take Trevor Lawrence over Bo Nix right now. Because
let's make a poll on YouTube and let's see how
I like that.
Because I really do think 90% of people would say that they would take Bo Nix in this situation. 90% of people would say.
Sorry, I paused there, but yes, I like the poll idea. And you said 90.
I think outside of Bronco fans, of course, right?
Yeah.
I think people would actually take Bo Nix because I'm seeing like the mainstream media posting things like that MLF football page and like just like they'll post a picture, you know, not a picture, a clip of Bo Nix, and they'll be like, don't forget when Bo Nix threw for 4 touchdown passes, 350 yards, no picks, and beat the Atlanta Falcons. And then I'll go in the comments and there'll be a ton of people that are like, not a Broncos fan, but Sean was a genius with this one. Like I'm starting to see the world feel the way I felt in the preseason last year, because I saw it in the preseason. I went back and watched those videos where I was like, this is so different. Like I know what it looks like. This kid's going to be really special. And then week 1 and week 2, he was like terrible. I was like, what is going on? I was there in real life. I'm like, this isn't what we saw. And then week 3, they went on the road to play Tampa and it clicked and they won. And all of a sudden it was like every week he just got better and better and better and better. And that's the best quarterbacks. That's why I thought Jaden would be the best. I'm always looking to see, is a quarterback improving every single game? And if they're not, why? Have they peaked? And that's what Nick Wright says. Bo Nix peaked. This is his peak right now. And
I mean, if that's his peak every season is a playoff berth, I don't really see a problem.
Peak, but
that's not the worst peak ever.
I just also think it's a bad take. Like he's going to stop learning.
Yeah,
and year he's done.
And I'm kind of, again, I'm looking at it in terms of what they've done so far in their careers, which is rough to kind of take that into consideration, because you have to almost be like, all right, who are your top quarterbacks in terms of this rookie class with Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, Jane Daniels, and then last year's rookie class, which includes CJ Stroud and Bryce Young. Yes, thank you. So like, I feel like that's a bit more, a bit better. But if we're going purely off last season, I still don't think Bo Nix is a top 10 quarterback, but I can agree he's a top 15. I would just have to look at the quarterbacks again, kind of see what they've done. Because, for example, right, I hate to bring up a bad memory, but the Broncos got smoked by the Bills. Right?
That's okay.
And after a really good season, after, again, an impressive season that a lot of people did not see coming, when we talk about Herbert, right, during the regular season, he threw the least interceptions, I think, in terms of all the quarterbacks put together. I think he threw like single-digit interceptions.
Yeah, but Harbaugh wasn't having him throw.
Exactly. And then you get to the playoffs and they got their shit rocked by the Texans, which everyone was like, the Texans are going to get out of the first round. And look what happened, right? And then we talk about CJ Stroud. So if we're going off last season, again, I'd have to kind of put in all those quarterbacks together. But if we're talking about landscape, all 32 NFL teams, I think Bo Nix fits in top 15. And after year 2, if he can do the same thing he did last year or even better, I think you're talking about a top 12 quarterback. You're talking about 10, 11, 12 maybe, because
he for sure will be. I'm telling you right now.
Oh, like, yeah. And you keep up with all Denver Broncos. Like I for the most part will trust a lot of fans that talk to me about their teams, because you guys, we all go into more depth into our own teams than we do the entire NFL. So for the most part, Sean Payton, your receiver, your number one receiver, Cortland Sutton, Bo Nix, you guys got the running back, like
RJ Harvey,
like
I don't Evan Ingram in.
Yeah, I again, it's going to be
Marvin Mims took a huge leap,
huge step forward. Yeah, and he was a wide receiver that not a lot of people were kind of looking at in terms of like, oh, he's a number one or he's going to make this huge impact. Again, like
drafted,
I think it's a step towards bigger things. Again, it's just I have to see that year 2 either jump, kind of keeping stale, kind of getting worse, because again,
you want to just see more. That's all.
That's exactly it.
If it is what it was last year, because last year, I mean, I think even fantasy, this year he's like, I've seen people taking him as like a top 5 quarterback in fantasy this year.
I could see that, especially with Sean Payton as the head coach. Yeah.
With all the mocks. In all the like he caught a touchdown last year and he had crazy runs where he's pitching it. He's playing loose. And the main thing too is like at the Nuggets playoff games, they had like Bo Nix, and he stands up and turns around and waves. And like the Avalanche game in the playoffs, stands up, Bo Nix waves. He's at the Rockies game throwing the pitch. And why is that important? Because last year he was like the rookie that was trying to earn the love of the city. This year he's like, I'm Bo Nix. Like, I'm the guy. This is my city. Yeah. And these are my fans. And like, when you walk like that and you combine that with like, I understand this playbook like the back of my head. Like I work so hard. Like he wouldn't leave after the season. He was still studying, even though that Bills game you brought up, there was 7 first downs that were dropped by our team.
100%. Yeah.
There was so much, like, I'm not just saying this. Bo Nix was not the reason like we lost that game. He was not the issue at all. The team just wasn't ready, but that's okay because they weren't. How could they? It was their first time ever.
It's just like the OKC Thunder last year.
Yeah.
All that entire team has not been in the playoffs before last year. This year, they're in the fucking finals, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Nick's comments here.
We're going to the Super Bowl. Last time the Super Bowl was in Santa Clara, we won it. I'm telling you, we're going back.
Broncos are going to the NBA Finals.
AFC Championship, but we are going to the AFC Championship. We're going to win the division for sure, but I'll finish this article. Defensively, the Lions improved simply by getting back a horde of injured players last season, starting with Aiden Hutchinson. Don't forget, he was out all last season. Yeah. But the Lions also added pieces to 3 levels. Defensive tackle Tyleik Williams joins a solid 2 deep front with DJ Reed and Avonte Maddox, and they improve the secondary depth when healthy. Detroit has very good group of linebackers. No lineup is perfect, and the Lions have jobs up for grabs on offense, namely at guard, now center, and defense, edge rusher opposite of Hutchinson. Whether there's enough pass rush juice feels like a big question, but all told, the Lions still boast a good roster. I expect other teams to raid their players after late August cutdowns. And that's kind of the bottom line. Like, I look at the Lions as a 9 to 10 win team.
I can see them double digits as well. Again, even with all the losses, players, coaches, whatever, I still see them 10 or a little bit better. Like they won what, 15?
Biggest wild cards, the Vikings in this.
The Vikings are the biggest wild card, I think, in the NFC North, and really the Bears are too, because for all the same reasons that you're hyped about Bo Nix, I'm hyped about Caleb Williams and the Bears team. They've got a competent coaching staff compared to last year, but I still think that the defense is missing a little something. They brought in Grady Jarrett, they brought in Oda Yingbo, and they drafted a defensive end. I just still think the linebackers, when you look at TJ Edwards and Edmonds, there's really no other depth. So I while I agree with you that the Vikings are probably the biggest wild card in that division, I think the Bears are like second. You know what I mean? And then it's like Packers and Lions are like, okay, can they do the switch? Can the Packers can Jordan Love be a top 10 quarterback this year for the Packers? And if so,
not.
I fucking hope not. But can they leapfrog the Lions in terms of division winners, right? Like, I think the Bears and the Vikings are kind of in that, all right, we'll see how it goes phase. And then the Lions and the Packers are like, all right, who's going to win the division? Can it be the Lions or can it be the Packers? Can they take that next step? But yeah, I agree. The Vikings are definitely in that wild card situation for sure.
Well, we are ready to, unless do you have anything else before I put up the symbol?
Real quick, I did just want to mention Saquon is on the Madden cover.
Yes.
Yeah, this year. There's been the curse, obviously, right? Last year, Saquon was an absolute monster. He made the switch. He had to make the switch from the Giants to the Eagles, interdivision trade or free agency acquired player. He broke 2,000 yards, almost got the record, wins a Super Bowl, and is now on the Madden cover. And to be honest, I feel like everyone should have seen this coming, if not already.
Yes.
But the curse is not necessarily real. We saw Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady on it once. Brady went on to win one more Super Bowl or have a ton of touchdowns after that. Mahomes is Mahomes and won 2 Super Bowls in a row. Josh Allen had somewhat of an up and down year the year after he made the Madden cover. Saquon Barkley, again, unless an injury happens, I don't think Saquon is going to miss a beat. But good for him.
Yeah, that the second he backwards hurdled, it was a done deal.
Yeah,
that was a wrap. I mean, it's got to be cool to know. It's kind of like me with the Sonobuoy blowing up. It's a weird thing, but it's like being in NATOPS.
Yeah.
Like, not me, that the new rule, it's like something will live longer than me.
Yeah.
And I know like that image of Barkley is going to not just be like a cool Madden cover, but it's going to be like when the NFL has its 200-year anniversary. It's going to be one of the images shown. And I feel like that must feel like how the Beatles felt when they released like Hey Jude. It was just like, wow.
Classic.
We get to, I'm an instant classic or making a Christopher Nolan movie. Just like, I know that what I'm putting out here is something that will live centuries.
100%.
And I think deep down, every human wants to be immortal. We are always, that's why we're always looking to like be fit and eat healthy, is because like there's a part of us that wants to live forever. And Saquon Barkley with this album or with this Madden cover will live forever. And that was immediately my reaction to that hurdle. I said it out loud. I was like, there's your Madden cover. I couldn't find when I said it because I don't do a good log, but I know I said it on the air after that, after that event. And when it came out, like you said, it was like, of course, who else were you going to pick? I mean, it was his year to do it. Now, next year when Bo Nix is on the cover, I'm just kidding. But I did Photoshop it. I got it. I'm going to post it also with that poll we're going to do. And it's going to be hilarious. But congrats to Saquon. And by the way, Saquon could have broken that record if that's where his head was at. but he's just not that guy. Like, he just didn't care that much. He was benched for like the second half or the whole week 18 game. But then when the playoffs started, you're like, dude, he ran for 200 yards. In every playoff game, Saquon won that Super Bowl. Saquon. I feel like you take him off the team and they don't win the Super Bowl.
I don't think so either. And this is actually a question real quick. Would you rather break the record or win the Super Bowl if you're Saquon?
I would rather win the Super Bowl.
I think at the end of the day, you get that ring, especially after being in the Giants for 4 years. You're like, yeah, this is sweet. I would much prefer this. And this guy, he's a team guy. He knows what's at stake. He doesn't want to get hurt just to break a record, if that were to happen. And at the end of the day, he got a Super Bowl ring and he's got the Madden cover and he's the best running back in the league right now.
Yes, 100%.
100%. But Kyle, I think it's time for the motherfucking.
That was short. Let's hit it back. Welcome. All right, we're good.
Top 5. Running back.
We're back, baby. Welcome.
Let's go.
Chives with Kyle. Okay, so just to annoy Rick, I have to do. It's not really gonna annoy you because you're not like against my team, but
true.
That article that I was reading you, right? Mm-hmm. The Lions came in at number 3. I wanted to go through because the Chiefs are at 4.
Okay.
The Bills are at 5. They only did top 10. The Vikings, which I thought was interesting, right?
That's an interesting one. Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, JJ McCarthy, it's the most important position. I feel like you can't do that if the quarterback's an unknown.
Yeah, but that's the only unknown. That's the only question mark on the team.
Only big one.
That's a huge one. Don't get me. Yeah, 100% agree. But like, you also got to take into consideration Kevin O'Connell.
It's like I only have one problem. I'm addicted to crack.
But everything else
is good.
I'm a stand-up citizen.
I just love crack. I mean,
sorry.
I kind of got my shit together. Like, I got good credit. I just love crack. I don't know. Like,
I get where you're coming from, though, for sure.
Okay. Interesting choice. But yeah, I mean, Aaron Jones, Jordan Addison, Jordan Mason, Justin Jefferson, TJ Hockenson. Say less. Then you got the Tampa Bay Bucks. And I feel like Todd Bowles is starting to grow on me as a head coach. I for a long time felt like Todd Bowles was benefiting from Tom Brady. And last year and the year, because I was particularly very high on Liam Cohen. And I know you're going to hate this, but I thought Liam Cohen was my favorite head coach. And I said that before, like the Bears hired, but it's not a Bears thing. It's like,
yeah, you had said that.
I just think
out of all of them,
Cohen's like, I think immediately people are going to be like, damn, really good. Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but but I think Jacksonville's going to be immediately like, you're going to see them and they're going to look different.
I like that take.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm getting at here is like, what does that mean for Tampa? Because Baker Mayfield has been underratedly amazing. And I think this happens with first overall picks that are like super hyped up that don't really pan out. And then people get like fatigued, fill in the blank fatigued. We're talking about Baker fatigue. Yeah. And then once they start playing at a high level again, we don't react appropriately. I feel like Baker Mayfield should be considered a top 10 quarterback. in the NFL. And I think Tampa Bay has the best value at the position in the NFL. Baker Mayfield is getting paid like pennies compared to, I mean, Brock Purdy's making more money.
I think he's getting paid 25 for the next 3 years because I think the extension was last year that started. Yeah.
If you were starting a team right now, who are you taking, Brock Purdy or Baker Mayfield?
I think I'm taking Baker.
Me too.
Yeah.
But the money doesn't look that way. So it's good value. And then the Packers come in at 8. Interesting. I feel like they got a lot of guys, but they're not necessarily great, but they're better than average, maybe.
I think they're better than average too. I don't know if they're top 10 complete either. I don't know if I'd put them top 10.
Then at 9, they got the Niners, which is also interesting.
A little wild, yeah.
A lot of departures, all right?
Debo, Talanoa Hufanga, Dre Greenlaw, yeah.
I mean, basically all the Broncos.
Yeah. Minus Debo, yeah.
And Debo went to the other rookie. And by the way, how good is my take that the 2024 quarterback class will go down as the greatest of all time?
It's
looking like, if Caleb takes this jump with Ben Johnson, and Bo just, like you said, just maybe gets better, but at least stays where he's at. And Jaden, I mean, we don't have to talk about him.
Continues, yeah.
But Michael Penix Jr. is still an unknown. We got J.J. McCarthy, and we already like what we're seeing in New England with Drake. I'm like, what other quarterback class has produced 6 like actual arguably top 20 quarterbacks?
Yeah.
This is in a potential for at least half of them to be top 10. That's crazy.
Sorry, I'm catching up. I froze.
Oh, okay.
No, and you're right though too with that, because again, Penix and JJ McCarthy are really the only ones like, okay, we've seen Penix, we haven't seen enough but we liked what we saw. JJ, obviously the last year preseason, it was like, oh, okay, cool passes.
Exactly.
Yeah, Drake May is like, okay, I do think Drake May is going to get there. But yeah, Jane Daniels continues his excellence after the Rookie of the Year campaign. Bo Nix led the Broncos to the playoffs and was basically the offense. And per Nick's common year, I think if we get post week 4 Bo all season, we would have won 13 games. I agree with that. If you take out the first 4 weeks or so of Bo Nix last year, you're just like, wow, I loved every single bit of that year for this quarterback. And then Caleb obviously is like, take away all the ineptness of the Eberflus coaching staff and offensive coordinator. Now let's see what you can do with a competent coach who has led the league in the offense for the last 2-3 years, right? I said it as well too. I was like, this is going to be one of the best quarterback classes for years to come. And I don't know when we're going to see the next one, but I could not agree more. Like these 6 quarterbacks are going to be good. Yeah. Like these 6 quarterbacks, if they, again, Penix and JJ are the only really like ones we're still waiting on.
And if they don't work out and the other 4 do, like
it's a good class.
If those 4 quarterbacks, like Jaden could be a Hall of Famer. I think Bo will go down and it'll be a debate about him in Elway. I think Caleb has all the tools to be Hall of Fame. I think Drake May, I think we don't even know how good that kid is yet.
Yeah.
Those 4 guys, like, there's a chance that we're talking about like the Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. But we're talking about them all coming from the same class.
Yeah.
And it's not a coincidence that the 2 most successful, Bo Nix and Jane Daniels, were the 2 that benefited from the extra COVID season that gave them that 5th-year eligibility. Because without that season, that's the season they took the jump. Like, it was almost like when I got sent back to week 1 in boot camp. When I first got there, I didn't know what was going on. And then all of a sudden I'm 4 weeks in and I go back to what's called P days. And it was like, wait, I know what's going on. I know
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I'm cool. I'm confident. I'm
Mhm.
already like done freaking out about everything. It's like Bo Nix and Jane Daniels. There's something to that 5th year. And the running back we just selected, RJ Harvey, he also had his 5th year eligibility because of COVID and
Oh,
broke out
nice.
last season. So I'm starting
Yeah.
to just really love these 5th year selections. I
Mhm.
mean, we've seen guys like Trey Lance come out of college early and just capitalize on the hype. But
Mhm.
the guys that have success when they stay in,
Mhm.
that's going to become the new trend. Don't go out of college early unless you're Arch Manning. Like if
Yeah.
you are just a regular guy that is arguably a first round pick, maybe likely in the second, play another year, right? Um, Especially with the money they're getting paid in college now, there's no hurry to get to the NFL.
Yeah.
I think we're going to start seeing the quality of the players we're drafting come in and produce at a high level faster because they're going to stay in college and develop more. But the 10th team on this list is the Denver Broncos, and that was my chimes. Um,
Mhm.
this is what he wrote. Coming into the draft, I saw the Broncos as potential shoo-ins for this list, as long as they added the right skill position pieces. As it turned out, this call was closer than I thought it would be, though I like some of their selections. They could have gotten better value out of some of their picks. We'll see. Sean hasn't fucked up a pick yet, so we'll
Mhm.
see. And
Mhm.
rookie crop didn't provide quite the boost I was anticipating. In the end, Denver had just enough to crack the top tier,
Mhm.
squeezing past the Commanders and Rams thanks to an elite defense, emerging quarterback,
Yep.
and strength on the offensive line. Bo Nix probably exceeded most expectations for his rookie season, even
Mhm.
appearing to briefly duel with eventual winner Jaden Daniels as Offensive Rookie of the Year honors at a point relatively late in the season. Nix has a good number one, Cortland Sutton, a new tight end who might prove he's been the missing piece in Evan Ingram, a
Yep.
top 5 offensive line. That's a good starting template. The rest
Mhm.
of the offensive line has potential, but it's largely unproven. A backfield compromised of RJ Harvey, Jaleel McLaughlin, and Audrian Estime might not boggle minds, but it could be effective. Denver really needs its young receivers to seize bigger roles. The Broncos' feature is a top 5 defense, and if you were to argue, it's the league's very best. I wouldn't push back at all at that. Reigning Defensive Player of the Year, Patrick Surtain, headlines a very strong secondary that added Hufanga and Jade Barron this
Yep.
offseason. There's space for another pass rusher to emerge. Jonathan Cooper, Nick Benito. There's injury concerns with Hufanga at linebacker, which could be manned by Dre Greenlaw, Alex Singleton, Drew Sanders. But all in all, this defense stacks up about as well as any unit in the league. And it's going to be tested through a tough early stretch on the schedule. There's
Mhm.
also no guarantee Knicks will take a proverbial step forward in year 2. Don't be fooled into thinking that young quarterbacks will automatically do so,
Mhm.
or that the skill talent will stack up with the league's better clubs. Still, this ranking is warranted thanks to what the Broncos have working for them on both sides. In just 2 years, the Broncos have turned themselves into a scary competitor. And
Agreed.
I feel like he's being very conservative. Like, I think they didn't draft the best players.
Yeah.
They got a good offensive line and a good number one, but
Mhm.
I'm nothing about Marvin Mims. Nothing
Yeah.
about. So, and this is the kind of way people talked about Knicks last year. I think it's too high for Knicks at number
Mhm.
12. Right? I mean, we don't know anything until we see football.
Yeah.
And that's why I hate post grade drafts. Like, you grade the draft. How? No one's played.
No one's played yet. Yeah,
How
yeah,
can I grade it? I
yeah.
can't even tell you what the value. Oh, is a good value pick. I can tell you what I think,
Yeah.
um, based on studying film and things like that. But like Brock Purdy just got paid 50 million a year, and he was the last pick in the
Mhm.
whole draft. We obviously don't know anything until
Mhm.
these guys get on the field, and clearly the player development staff and the head coach is like I think maybe like 80% of whether the players work or not. I think
100%.
Yeah, I think it is like I feel like the players they get too much of the success when things go well, too much of the credit, and then the head coaches, they don't get enough of the credit when things go well, but they get all the blame when it doesn't go well. I think coaches are just as important as players. And for the longest time, especially with the Brady Belichick thing, I was always like, it's the players and not the coach. I still think it's more players than coach, but I think it's like 60-40. It depends. If it's a Matthew Stafford or later in their career, I don't think it matters. Like Manning was successful with every coach that the Broncos had. They had 3. I mean, but for Caleb Williams, Knicks, these younger guys, they need a head coach. They need somebody to help them. And when we're talking about post-draft grades, we're talking about rookies going into a system and it either working or not working, and then we revisit and grade it. But
and kind of to your point here with how much coaches matter, we were just talking about the Lions and the losses they've endured, and yet we still think they're good enough for 10 or a couple more wins because of what? Dan Campbell, along with all the guys that they still have from last year's team that won 15 games. The culture is something the coaches set from day one when they enter. The players come in and accept the culture, and then they play their asses off. It's just like if one's weak, if one of these sides is weak, that team's probably going to be rough. It's going to be a bad year. And great example, the Bears of 2024. The Eberflus culture was trash, but you had in all these guys who had a lot of talent. DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Caleb Williams, DeAndre Swift, guys on the defense, Montez Sweat, for example, right? And yet what happens is the coaching is just not there. So I think, like you're saying, 60-40, 50-50, 60-40 the other way, whatever way you want to spin it, I think these people go hand in hand with, right? Doug Peterson got fired. Yeah. What's his face got fired his first year coaching the Jags with Trevor Lawrence. I forget his name, the college coach, Urban Meyer. Yeah. Urban Meyer got fired. Stinky fingers. Like, yeah, stinky fingers. Like that, all that stuff matters, who you're bringing in and what culture they're setting, as much as how well the players do on the field.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll close with this. The it's a Bears thing. The article that came out, and this is sneak peek. I'm going to make a video on this tomorrow. It is the 32 top priorities for the remaining 32 teams. So like each team, post-draft, post-free agency, going into the season, every team has listed the number one priority that still needs to be drafted. For instance, Atlanta needs to trade Kirk Cousins. They need to just give the keys to Michael Penix and let him do it. A reunion in Minnesota makes sense, but I think that ended ugly. So probably not. But the Bears, figure out the plan at running back. Heading into the 25 draft, there was a lot of chatter about the Bears selecting a running back in the early rounds, but the board didn't fall that way. With Kyle Manangai. I was testing you and you passed. 4.5 gold stars. Being the only backfield addition, that leaves DeAndre Swift, Roschon Johnson atop of the depth chart. It's not an awful duo, but it's not what Ben Johnson enjoyed in Detroit with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. No one is going to be like that, though. So not the best example. Yeah. Swift was traded away from the Lions after Johnson's first season with the team's offensive coordinator, a year in which Swift saw career low 99 carries. Since taking over in Chicago, Johnson has said the right things about Swift. However, an upgrade would have been beneficial. Swift is very inefficient last year behind the Bears' porous offensive line. Will he improve with better blocking? Duh. At its peak, Johnson's offense dominated with a multifaceted running game without the same dynamic backfield. Can it be as potent in Chicago? It wouldn't surprise me to see another veteran added to the crew. And look, there are veterans out there. The one that comes to mind is Nick Chubb.
Yep.
I look at this though, and I think they're fine. I think that DeAndre Swift is way better than people think, and recency bias. Here we go. I mean, 1 year of DeAndre Swift being, everybody was mediocre. I mean,
Everyone.
why don't we just throw the towel in on DJ Moore while we're at it? Like, why do some guys get passes and the others don't?
Yep.
Why is, this guy's safe because we've seen him play at we've seen DeAndre Swift play at a high level.
Yep.
We have DeAndre, and Roshan Johnson is the bruiser RB2 to come in while Swift is getting a break. Like, why do we want, and they did bring in a 7th rounder to compete. I'm sure they like this guy. I mean, why do the Bears need another running back? I'm not understanding. Like, why can't you be content with the fact that you have 5 pass catchers? And dude, you can literally line up Luther Burden at running back.
Yep.
Like, what are you talking about? You got DJ Moore, Luther Burden, you got the guy from Washington, Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet, and you drafted
Colston Loveland.
I mean, and then I'm going to add DeAndre Swift because I believe that he belongs on the list of weapons.
Yeah.
And Roshan Johnson, I won't. But those 6, like, why, if you can't have a good offense with that, you don't deserve another running back.
and I'll say this really quick. I was disappointed that the Bears did not draft a running back earlier, and one of the ones that I wanted, right? Yeah, like Hampton, Travion Henderson from Ohio State. And after kind of like listening to more and more Chicago sports talk podcasts, radio, whatever, it was like, remember DeAndre Swift on the Eagles? He had over 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns. On the Lions, his best year was 2020, his rookie year. He had 8 touchdowns. He only had 521 rushing yards. But when DeAndre Swift is behind a really good offensive line, he is a damn good weapon. Is he going to be a Saquon Barkley, a Derrick Henry, a 3-down back? Probably not. 3rd downs, you are probably going to want to swing him out, to at least be the check down or something like that. I don't know if he's going to be like that, but I'll tell you this much is the teams that he was on prior to the Bears, the Eagles and the Lions, they had really good offensive lines, and the Bears have improved the offensive line. At least that's what Ryan Poles and all Bears fans believe, is we have a much better offensive line than last year. Can he be better? Absolutely. Can Roshan Johnson be better? He's a tough runner. He's a big dude. He's the bulldozer when you're on a 3rd and 2 or a 3rd and 1 from the 1 yard line at the, to get into the end zone. He's going to be that guy. So I think improvements to the offensive line are going to be improvements across the board for the running back room, whether or not they keep Monangai or bring in somebody else like Chubb or something. I think the running game is going to be a lot better. And the offensive line is going to be the reason behind that, and that just makes Caleb Williams better. That just makes all of the players that you listed much better, including your rookies Luther Burden and Colston Loveland. So, at first, again, I will say I was disappointed they didn't draft a running back, but now with the improved offensive line and Ben Johnson as the play caller and head coach, I can see DeAndre Swift having a much better year. I can see Roshan Johnson possibly having a much better year because of what his head coach is going to scheme up for him. And I can see Monangai making the roster and being a guy who you bring in every once in a while just to see what you got with him. And we'll see what he is, over the preseason and over the season, and we'll make a decision on him next year. But I was disappointed, but I'm liking now as I kind of sit back and digest everything that's happened over this offseason, and I'm liking it a little bit better.
Yeah. And I think if you could look back 2 years from now and see how good Luther Burden is, I'm just like so high on this guy. And I all the guys that I've been high on, like the way I feel about Burden, I've been right about all of them. Like, there's a handful of them. There's the Jaden Daniels. There's the but the Luther Burden was like the guy this year that I just really wanted, and I think he's going.
Gotcha.
I think he's going to be like very similar to a Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. Yeah.
And with Deebo, think about how much Ben Johnson's going to be getting him so many handoffs. Like, he's going to, if you did need another running back, Luther Burden's going to fill that role.
I hope so. Because again, Ben Johnson is so creative that I think he, like you said, will do
There's
a Luther Burden.
He with the board the way it was. There's a reason he turned away from running backs and drafted Burden, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there has to be a plan involving carries with that guy. But
100%.
dude, I am just so excited to see football. I'm
Me
like,
too.
I just want to see a Bears game. Like, I'm so pumped. Look, what is it going to
Me
look
too.
like?
And
who
the
do
Bears,
they play week one?
The Vikings on Monday Night Football.
Bears, easy.
I hope.
Is it in Chicago?
It is. Ooh, actually, good question. I think they're in Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to double check.
Everyone, put a dog shit in the chat. Rick doesn't know. Put a dog shit in the chat. Hurry up.
Leave me alone. 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 Leave me
Hurry
alone.
up. Get a
and
dog
it
shit
is
before
at
Rick.
Chicago. Let's go, baby.
Home opener. Give me the Bears. I think
opener.
the Bears win that game.
I think so as well.
I have a bet in that pays out $700,000.
Oh my god!
Here it is.
Is it for the entire slate?
No, it's only 5 things.
Okay.
Aiden Hutchinson and these aren't my predictions. Okay. Aiden Hutchinson wins Defensive Player of the Year.
Oh, okay.
Jamar Chase wins Offensive Player of the Year.
Okay.
Ashton Genty wins Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
Jaden Daniels wins Regular Season MVP.
Mm-hmm.
And Jahade Barron, the other side of Surtain, wins Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Woo! I hope all that happens for
$700,000.
That would be insane.
It doesn't sound that crazy, does it?
That would be crazy. I mean, if you won, it's crazy, and I'm fucking happy. But
it's not like I picked like Aaron Rodgers to win MVP. It's like it all sounds like Aiden Hutchinson, Defensive Player of the Year, Jamar Chase. These are like your blue chip players that I have. I'm like love the chance to win that money. I put it out in the universe. Like,
I love it. I'm gonna make sure that I put it out in the universe for you too, Kyle.
Thank you, dude. I will give you so much money.
That's your money. Kidding. Don't give me money. That's your money.
No, no. I'm going to give you only you.
I'm gonna tie this into the comment of the stream. If I could bet, it's gonna be this one by Jinja. Ohio State won the championship in 2002, 2015, and 2025. The Panthers went to the Super Bowl in 2002, 2015. Both of those seasons, they opened the season against the Jags. This year, Ohio State won the championship, and the Carolina Panthers opened their season against the Jaguars.
So what does this mean?
So Panthers are going to the Super Bowl. And that's a crazy ass stat, dude. Since 2000, Ohio State has won the championship 3 times. 2 out of those 3 so far, the Panthers have been in the Super Bowl.
But we got to double check because the Super Bowl is technically in 2026. So was it like the Panthers were in the Super Bowl of?
Well, the championship happened in that. That's I see what you're saying.
So was it like Ohio State won the chip in 2002, and in the 2001 season, the Panthers went to the because they played the Patriots in the 2001 season.
Yeah, because even before the college playoffs, it was the BCS. They would still play the championship game in January once the new season has started. The new year has started. So I think so.
So technically, this is all off, right?
Oh, no. I'm sorry. The season. So it was the 2002 season, the 15 season, and the 25 season.
Wait,
no, never mind.
Wait, because the New England Patriots defeated.
Oh, yeah. Panthers. So it was the 2001 season, 2002, 15, and 25. No. Panthers went to the Super Bowl.
The Panthers beat the Patriots beat the Panthers 32-29. in 2004. Rick would Ginger.
Hold on. Super Bowl 2002 Super Bowl?
He's high.
2000. No, because I heard this too.
What? They became a team in 2002. Or was it
Panthers went to
2000?
Super Bowl in 02. Hold on. 2000.
No, because I think the Panthers made it to the Super Bowl just 1 year after being included.
Oh, so was it 04? Hold on. Panthers, Ohio State stat. The Ohio State Buckeyes are. Oh, wait, hold on. Damn it. I'm trying to look for the the thing here.
I'm going to say, when has Ohio State football won championships? Because maybe that's what he's off on.
Maybe
2002. No, they won in 2002. The 2002.
Wait,
that was the Panthers. Eagles. It was the Rams and the Patriots in 2002. Maybe this is just like one of those social media things that everyone kept repeating and no one checked.
Or hold on, it was the
Rick
Panthers.
Wants it to be true so bad.
What's that?
You want it to be true so bad. You're like, no. Hold on.
I'm trying to see.
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for where I found that stat too, because I heard the same thing. So it was 2002. Ohio State wins the national championship. That same year, the Panthers had a losing record, which was this past season. They opened the next year against the Jaguars, and then they go to the Super Bowl, which is 2003.
Well, yeah, the 2003 season, they made it to the Super Bowl that was played in 2004.
In 2004. That's what it is. Sorry. So he got the first couple years wrong.
They have to have a losing season, and then the next year they. All right, I'm just gonna say there's too much stuff going on for me to bet on this.
So Ohio State wins the championship that same year. Panthers have a losing record, which is exactly what happened this year. It happened in 15 and it happened in 02. Following season, they open up against the Jaguars, and then the following year, which is technically the following year, is when they go to the Super Bowl. So that's what he was trying to say. Not the Super Bowl that same year, but the following, but they had the losing record that year and then went to the Super Bowl the following season in 04, like you said. So that's what it was. Yeah.
I wish I was high on pot and news.
We got KC in the chat. He's like, I'm glad we cleared that up.
KC,
we cleared nothing.
Stop cussing.
Yeah, I don't know if you got that, KC, but I was saying on the stream earlier, I don't know if you're going to go back and watch it, but I said during Bears games this season that I stream, I am not going to be swearing during the streaming of that game. Nick said over under, when does Rick break that? Ginger said drive 3 or the third play of the drive in week 1. And Nick said first Packers game, which is all valid.
We'll see how long it goes. Hopefully you won't have anything to be cussing about.
I hope so. I really, really do hope so. And that was the comment of the stream. Kyle, you got anything else before we get out of here?
Nope. But you guys can follow us on
X
at Only Football Pod, and you can follow me at NFL with Kyle. And please like this video before you guys go out. It boosts the algorithm, puts us back out there. We are going to be putting more content out. I'm going to be specifically doing a lot more, but we're going to be having shorts coming out it's summertime, so we got to bring the shorts out. You know,
we gotta bring the shorts out. We're gonna bring. I was doing polls. I'm gonna try to do more polls. We got one already lined up. Who would you rather
Ryan
take?
Poles,
Right,
he's your GM. You got
Ryan Poles, baby. Got to bring out the polls. I love it. But like Kyle said, make sure to like that video. We're gonna come out with some more content. Again, we've just been a little bit busy, but as things start to move forward throughout the summer, Kyle and I are gonna have a little bit more time. To put more content out for sure. It's just these first few weeks have been a little bit rough for both of us. So with that being said, more content on the way. And of course, the football season, we are less than 100 days away from the 2025 NFL season, starting off with the Eagles and Cowboys and ending week 1 with the Bears and Vikings on Monday Night Football. It is going to be a fun summer. Enjoy it while you can, because this season is going to be awesome. And like Kyle said, like that video.
And I'm going to put out at least one video. I haven't even ran this by Rick. I'm going to put out one video where Rick will be on that side. I'll be here, and I'm just going to ask him for 2 hours. I'm just going to ask him questions. Like, Rick, give me the top 5 greatest seasons by an NFL rookie quarterback. And he's gonna answer the question. And then when he gets done with that, I'm gonna go, what's stopping the Lions from winning the Super Bowl this year? And then he's gonna answer that question. And then I'm gonna go, are you expecting to see a leap from Audric Estime next year?
I like that.
And then he's gonna answer that. And then I'm gonna keep going. And it's just going to be random chaos.
Mm-hmm.
It is going to just be interview format. Rick on the
question
spot.
Question for question, like a shootout.
Nick Benito retweeted PFF ranking the top 10 interior defensive linemen. And it goes Chris Jones, Dexter Lawrence, Cameron Ward, Quinnen Williams, Jalen Carter, Leonard Williams, Derek Brown, DeForest Buckner, Jeffrey Simmons, Christian Wilkins. And of course,
he's like, where the fuck am I?
He put the laughing emoji because Zach Allen's on the list.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, he led the NFL in pressures. But, you know, PFF also said we were the worst roster in the league last year. So not surprising it's coming from them. For guys that pride themselves on knowing more about football than anybody, there is such thing as being too in the weeds, apparently.
I agree.
You're just like, you're nuking it. You're
trying to be the smartest guy in the room. It's not working.
No, it would be one thing if they were right a lot, but they're not.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yes, follow us on all of those, like the streams. We're back, better than ever,
baby.
I love you guys.
We're back. Hit that follow, hit that like, X, Twitch, YouTube, and like Kyle said, we are back. Wait for that Giants season with their newly acquired people. It is going to be a fun one. And Kyle, always a good time, brother.
Always a good time. Long live Bill.
Long live Bill.